Good morning, everyone. I'm Dewey, and my Tech Talk topic for today is Tech News Update, December 13, 2021. It's great to be back after a 2-week hiatus, during which my honey and I packed up and left our suburban Twin Cities, Minnesota home for the warmer and sunnier climes of Arizona. For the first time in 23 years, we flew to Arizona instead of driving. Our daughter Julie and son-in-law Troy arrived 3 days later with our car fully packed with stuff that will make our place at Silveridge RV Resort in Mesa feel very much like home for the next 4 months. Today's Tech Talk begins with the happy announcement that Roku devices won't be losing YouTube TV and YouTube after all. You'll recall I told you about that perhaps a month ago. Last Wednesday, howtogeek.com reported that Google and Roku have agreed to a long-term deal that will keep YouTube on Roku's platform and bring YouTube TV back. Not only will Roku users be able to continue to download and use the YouTube app, but the YouTube TV app will return to the Roku store, giving users the whole YouTube experience. You may recall they withdrew it from the store last April. Back in August, GM issued a recall over battery fires in the Chevy Bolt electric vehicle and electric utility vehicle. Eventually, over 140,000 vehicles became part of this giant recall, costing nearly $1.9 billion, which battery manufacturer LG Chem took responsibility to pay for. LG Chem and GM are currently busy replacing battery cells in 2019 Bolts, with other model years replacements following soon. According to ReviewGeek.com, these problems are causing GM to halt Bolt production until latter January. It's been halted for a while. A related article last Thursday stated that GM will avoid China to solve future electric vehicle shortages. The reason is that permanent magnets are a key component of electric vehicle motors and renewable energy technology. But around 90% of the rare earth metals required to build these magnets are currently sourced in China. That's a big problem for manufacturers, not just because of growing political tension, but also because of skyrocketing demand for permanent magnets. The good news is that GM seems to have a simple solution to the problem, though not an immediate one. In collaboration with MP Materials of Mountain Pass, California, GM will develop a domestic supply chain for rare earth metals and permanent magnets. MP Materials' huge mine in Mountain Pass, California, will source rare earth materials and turn these into neodymium, the simplified name of neodymium iron boron, NiB, which is often called neomagnet alloy. The processed alloy will then find its way to a magnet manufacturing facility in Fort Worth, Texas, which GM plans to erect by 2024. GM estimates that this supply chain will produce 1,000 tons of permanent magnets each year. That's enough magnets to build 500,000 electric vehicle motors, which should significantly supplement the imported supply from China. Electric cars use multiple motors, and GM will produce way more than 200,000 electric vehicles each year by the time MP Materials California mine is in full swing, which is likely in 2025 or later. It's typical of steps that GM and rivals like Ford have taken to reduce their reliance on global trade and sourcing. My Galaxy S8 phone is 4 years old this month. I've really enjoyed using this phone, except for the nagging intrusion of Bixby, which was mostly during the first 3 years of ownership. Bixby is Samsung's personal assistant, and it debuted back on the Galaxy S8, my phone, and the S8 Plus. It was an integral part of the phone's operation. Samsung placed the Bixby button on the left side of the phone where the user's left thumb would commonly hold the phone, as the photo illustrates. It was very difficult to keep from accidentally activating it. That illustration shows the guy's thumb right on the Bixby button. Because of my personal disdain for Bixby, my attention peaked recently when I saw an article at reviewgeek.com titled, "Why It's Time for Samsung to Kill Bixby." When Bixby debuted in 2017, that's when I got my phone, industry experts thought it might find a place alongside Siri and the Google Assistant. But it didn't work out that way. Instead, it ended up being about as popular as Microsoft's Cortana. So where did Bixby go wrong, and should Samsung even keep it? Well, for starters, Android already has a superior assistant in the Google Assistant, one of the most functional voice assistants available. By the time Bixby launched, Google Assistant had already been around for a year and worked seamlessly on many devices across several brands. Bixby only worked on Samsung devices. It was their baby. In fact, if you Google Bixby, you'll likely find more articles about disabling or removing Bixby than guides on using its features. Later models of Samsung phones like the S10 allowed users to remap the Bixby button, with that functionality rolling back to the S9 and S8, which is why Bixby isn't as big a problem with my phone now. They did this just in the last year. The Bixby button disappeared entirely from the Samsung Note 10 onward. Bixby still receives regular updates, and Samsung still seems to be trying to crowbar its creation into people's lives. All that effort seemed like a waste of resources, especially since there are areas where Samsung could excel while directing its focus. One of these is in the smart home sector, where Samsung is already a respected leader with its SmartThings app. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Samsung SmartThings app aims to streamline your smart home. That's a coming thing that's very important. SmartThings was introduced in 2015 and quickly became one of the most open platforms in the field of big smart home ecosystems. It offers support for both Zigbee and Z-Wave protocols. Don't ask me to explain that. Those, it's above of my pay grade. According to a recent article in TheVerge.com, Samsung will be joining Google and Apple in adopting a new smart home connectivity standard called Matter. Remember that name. Matter is on track to become the de facto smart home application protocol. Once Matter goes live early next year, the idea is to simplify the purchase and setup of connected smart home devices. The goal of Matter is to make setup and connection of every smart home device totally universal and as easy as screwing in a light bulb. Also, all existing SmartThings hubs will adopt the new Matter standard. With Matter, consumers can confidently buy any Matter-compliant smart home device and know it will work with their smart home platform and voice assistant of choice. In other words, whether you're using the Google Home app, the SmartThings app, or the Apple Home app to control your devices, you needn't worry if it's Google-enabled, SmartThings enabled, or Apple HomeKit enabled. Concerning hubs, Samsung is moving away from making its own SmartThings hub. Instead, the AEO Tech Smart Home Hub is now the preferred SmartThings base for anyone who wants to directly connect with either Zigbee or Z-Wave devices. In terms of Samsung products, Samsung will enable Matter as a controller for its TVs and smart appliances, as well as other Galaxy products. Samsung is still working on which products will be Matter enabled, but it's safe to assume that it will include Samsung smartphones to enable easy setup and control of Matter enabled smart home devices. There is, however, one snag. Samsung integrated Bixby into SmartThings. Some folks, including me, think that could be a downer for Samsung. With these two services integrally linked, some people may be put off and driven to one of the other smart home apps. Dave McQuilling, author of the previously referenced ReviewGeek.com article, agrees, suggesting that if Samsung's Smart Things app would drop Bixby, it could become one of the great all-in-one places to manage Matter-enabled, remember what Matter is, Matter-enabled smart home devices. Well, that's my Tech Talk story for today, and I am sticking with it. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and the good Lord willing, we'll see you next year, or next week, I should say. Okay.